Imagine sinking into a world where sunlight gives up at the door, where creatures glow like living lanterns, and mountains taller than Everest hide beneath miles of black water. A world where pressure could crush steel, microbes quietly run the planet's recycling system, and giants drift past you like slow-moving myths. Down there, in Earth's deepest, darkest places, life doesn't just survive, it gets creative. From shimmering predators to ancient currents performing a silent, planet-sized ballet, the deep ocean is a realm of wonders we've barely begun to understand. So come with me on a calm descent into a world shaped by patience, mystery, and resilience, and discover why the darkness below is anything but empty. Imagine lowering yourself into the ocean as if you're stepping into a cathedral made of water. One that hums softly with currents instead of organs and stretches deeper than any building humans have ever constructed. At the surface, everything is familiar. The sun glints on the waves, the air smells like salt and possibility, and gulls wheel overhead complaining loudly about snacks you definitely do not have. But the moment you begin to sink, even just a few meters, something shifts. The water thickens around you. Sounds become distant, like they've been wrapped in blankets. And the light, our old, dependable friend, begins its slow retreat. It turns out sunlight is incredibly lazy when it comes to ocean travel. It beams bravely across 93 million miles of space, dodging asteroids and solar wind, only to give up after a couple 100 feet of seawater, as if someone whispered the magic words. Your rent just doubled. Down it goes, abandoning us to the blue. As you drift slowly downward, the colours change first. Reds vanish, then oranges, then yellows, until even green begins to fade, like an indecisive chameleon. What remains is blue. Blue, like a memory. Blue, like a dream you can almost touch. The deeper you descend, the more that blue stretches thin, until it becomes something more like a suggestion than a colour. Eventually even that dissolves, replaced by a velvety darkness that feels more like a presence than an absence. It's the kind of darkness that doesn't just surround you, it accompanies you, like a quiet passenger that's been waiting for you to notice it. Despite the growing darkness, the descent feels strangely peaceful. The ocean doesn't roar down here. It sighs. It murmurs. It settles around you with the gentleness of a weighted blanket. If weighted blankets were capable of flattening steel, which, to be fair, some parts of the ocean absolutely can. But that's a story for later. For now, the only thing you feel is the slow, rhythmic pull of gravity and the coolness of water sliding past. It's almost meditative, the way sinking feels like falling without actually going anywhere in particular. Every few moments your eyes try to adjust, as if expecting some new colour or distant beacon to bloom through the dimness. But the ocean doesn't rush to reveal its secrets. It prefers patience, a trait humans typically reserve for loading screens and the line at the coffee shop. Down here, patience becomes a companion, nudging you to slow down and absorb the feeling of leaving the familiar world behind. The noise of the surface fades. The movement of waves above no longer matters. You are slipping into a world that has existed in near silence for millions of years. A world that has never once asked for attention, but holds more mysteries than most planets have landscapes. What makes this descent even more astonishing is how the ocean manages to shift your sense of scale. Up above, the world is noisy with activity. Ships skimming across the surface, storms brewing, fish darting like nervous commuters. But deeper down, everything changes. Distances stretch. Time feels elastic. A single downward glide feels like floating across a continent. The water becomes a kind of lens, distorting not your vision, but your understanding of size and distance. It makes you realize how thin the surface world truly is compared to the mind-boggling depth below it. As you continue descending, the idea of below takes on new meaning. You begin to think of the ocean not as a uniform body of water, but as a stack of invisible realms layered on top of each other. Each one has its own identity, its own conditions, its own cast of characters. And here you are, drifting toward the boundary of the first one, the place where sunlight finally throws in the towel. It's not abrupt, exactly, but rather a slow surrender, as if the light keeps checking its pockets, hoping it has just one more ray left to spare. Humans have always had a habit of staring into darkness and assuming something is lurking inside it. In forests, that instinct might save you from a very confused bear. In attics, it might spare you from a spider the size of tax season. But in the ocean, the darkness doesn't threaten. It invites. It stretches out like a velvet curtain, hinting that there's a show happening just beyond your reach. A very long, very strange show that has been running continuously since before dinosaurs bothered figuring out what legs were for. The deeper you drop, the quieter your thoughts become. There is something profoundly soothing about drifting into darkness that belongs to no one and nothing. It feels ancient, untouched, and patient in a way the surface world no longer remembers how to be. The ocean at this depth isn't trying to impress you with waves or tides. It simply exists, vast, calm, and endlessly deep. And so you descend, leaving behind the sunlit world where colours flourish and creatures swim with confidence. Ahead lies a realm that very few beings ever see, a kingdom sculpted by darkness and time. For now, all you can do is breathe slowly and let the ocean wrap around you like a story waiting to be told. The surface is already far above, and the real journey has only just begun. The twilight zone begins so quietly you almost do not notice the transition. One moment the world around you is dim but recognizable. The kind of lighting you might find in a restaurant that is trying to convince you it is fancier than it is. Then gradually, almost politely, the remaining daylight thins until it becomes a pale, washed-out echo of what it once was. The ocean here is not totally dark, but it is definitely past sunset o'clock. This is the realm where sunlight turns into a rumour, and your eyes keep asking, "Are we sure this is a good idea?" The twilight zone, stretching from roughly 200 meters down to 1,000, is a place where light doesn't disappear all at once. It simply gets tired of trying. The strangest part is how much your vision struggles to keep up. Humans evolved in a world where the sun mostly cooperates. Down here, however, every meter deeper steals another fraction of brightness. Reds are long gone by now, swallowed earlier in the descent. Oranges have packed their bags too. Yellows have faded into a memory. Even blues, the biggest overachievers in the visible spectrum, are now thinning like the last guests at an awkward family gathering. What's left is a kind of permanent, muted twilight, a blue-grey hush that settles on everything. In this world of dimness, shapes blur at the edges. Large objects drift in and out of view like shy ghosts, their outlines never fully committing. The ocean's twilight zone is atmospheric, in a way no movie has ever truly captured. It feels as though someone took the idea of dusk and stretched it until it became an entire ecosystem. And the creatures that live here, they are professionals in ambience. Humans like to think they invented mood lighting when we came up with soft lamps, or those LED strips people glue to the back of their desks. The animals down here look up at that and say, adorable. They have been perfecting low-light life for millions of years, and they do it with style. Take the lanternfish, one of the most common residents in this dim world. It glimmers faintly, as if wrapped in tiny, carefully placed bulbs. These dots of light aren't decoration. They are clever tools, used to communicate, camouflage, or occasionally to confuse anything that might want to make a snack out of them. It is the kind of ingenuity that might make an electrician cry from admiration. Lanternfish swim in enormous numbers, forming drifting clouds that pulse with faint sparkles. Imagine a city skyline after every building decided to dim its lights to 1% brightness. Then there are bristlemouths, the reigning champions of abundance. If there were a contest for most common vertebrate on Earth, they would win without even swimming out of their neighborhood. Their bodies are slim, their mouths disproportionately large, and their demeanor suggests they have accepted the dim lighting as a permanent lifestyle choice. Some glow, some shimmer, some simply lurk with quiet confidence. Living in near sunset conditions seems to suit them, but the real artistry of the Twilight Zone comes not from individual fish, but from how everything here has adapted to a world where light is precious. Many animals have enormous eyes, the kind that make them look perpetually surprised, as though they've just been told that rent prices have increased down here too. Those oversized pupils are not for dramatic effect, they're for gulping down every stray photon that still dares to wander through the gloom. Other animals take the opposite approach. Instead of trying to see better, they simply give up on vision altogether, relying on other senses like vibration detection, smell, or subtle pressure changes. These creatures navigate the gloom with the confidence of someone walking through their own house in the dark. They know every pulse of water, every faint shift, every eddy that might signal movement, and still others glow. Oh, do they glow? The Twilight Zone might as well be the birthplace of creative lighting design. Some species emit faint dots of blue along their sides like decorative train lights. Others flash patterns to communicate. Some produce glowing lures that wiggle enticingly, proving once and for all that nature invented the neon sign before humans ever thought about advertising pizza. It's subtle glow though, not the blinding kind. The ocean here prefers artisanal lighting, soft, blue, minimalistic. Even predators in this realm have evolved to use the dimness to their advantage. They linger in the half-light with the composure of creatures that know patience and hunger very well. Some have upward-facing eyes designed to catch silhouettes outlined against the last scraps of daylight. Others have transparent bodies that make them look like living glass sculptures drifting between worlds. In the Twilight Zone, blending in is not a strategy, it is the only currency. As you glide farther into this dim corridor between light and shadow, a sense of quiet awe settles in. There is something peaceful about a world that exists perpetually between day and night. Nothing rushes here. Nothing demands attention. Instead, everything communicates through flickers, faint shapes, and graceful drifting. The Twilight Zone is where the ocean becomes truly otherworldly. Not yet dark, not yet bright, but suspended in a dusky balance that feels timeless. Here, in this delicate gradient of fading light, life finds a way to glow, shimmer, and thrive. And as you continue your descent, leaving even this soft luminosity behind, you carry with you the memory of a world that exists purely because light decided to linger just a little longer. The deeper you sink, the more the ocean begins to reveal its personality. and one of its most dramatic quirks is how it handles temperature. Up near the surface, the water still carries some of the warmth borrowed from sunlight, storms, and seasonal moods. But as you drift down past the last scraps of lingering twilight, you start to feel a quiet cold creeping in, not the brisk chill of a morning breeze, but a deep, steady coolness that settles into the water like it has nowhere else to be. If the ocean were writing a planner, this is where it would schedule its long-term appointment with cold, right under, maintain crushing pressure, and above, surprise humans with mysterious creatures. The shift happens so gradually at first that it feels like the ocean is being polite about it. A degree here, a degree there. Tiny changes that barely register. But eventually, you pass into the layer known as the thermocline, a region where that polite chill suddenly takes its job a little too seriously. The thermocline is the temperature equivalent of a steep staircase hidden in a dim room. One moment you're strolling down a gentle slope, the next you're sliding into a significantly colder world, wondering why you didn't bring a thicker metaphorical jacket. This transition isn't uniform. It varies across seasons, regions, and ocean basins, bending and stretching in places like a flexible ribbon of physics. In the tropics, the thermocline is sharp and dramatic, dropping temperatures rapidly, almost like the ocean is showing off. In colder regions, the change is more subtle, a slow-moving descent into chill rather than a sudden plunge. But regardless of location, the thermocline acts as a dividing line between the warmer, more chaotic surface and the vast cold stability below. And stability really is the key word. Past the thermocline, the ocean settles into a kind of long-term calm, a deep reservoir of cold water that barely shifts in temperature, even over enormous spans of time. Down here, the water hovers just a few degrees above freezing, steady and reliable, in a way that would make even the most punctual person proud. Think of it as the ocean's version of a personality trait. Cool, composed, and unbothered. That stability is more than just a feature. It's a foundation for deep-sea life. The creatures that inhabit these depths have evolved in a world where temperature almost never changes. To them, even a small shift, 1 or 2 degrees, can feel as dramatic as an unexpected heat wave on a planet that forgot what seasons are. Their metabolisms, their growth rates, their entire biological rhythms are tuned to this cold, steady environment. They operate slowly, efficiently, and often with a calmness that seems foreign compared to the frantic pace of surface life. In these chilly depths, chemical reactions inside organisms slow down, which influences everything from how they digest food to how they move. Many deep-sea creatures grow at a pace that would make a bonsai tree look impatient. Some species live extraordinarily long lives, quietly drifting or crawling through the cold with the kind of patience that only comes from existing in a place where nothing, absolutely nothing, is in a hurry. There is also a kind of architectural ingenuity here. Some animals have antifreeze-like proteins circulating through their bodies, preventing ice crystals from forming in the cold, high-pressure environment. Others rely on flexible, gelatinous tissues that remain functional even in near-freezing temperatures. It's as though evolution, faced with the problem of keeping things alive in an underwater freezer, responded with a mixture of creativity and stoic practicality. But perhaps the most fascinating part of these thermal layers is how they form and shift on a planetary scale. Surface water warms from the sun, cools in the wind, mixes with storms, and gets pushed around by currents. Meanwhile, deep water often originates from polar regions, where icy surface water becomes dense enough to sink, plunging down to create vast rivers of cold that wander the global ocean. These deep water masses can travel thousands of miles, moving so slowly that a glacier could probably outrun them in a race. Yet they remain consistent, maintaining their temperature with remarkable stubbornness. As you descend farther, the last remnants of warmth slip away. Below the thermocline, the cold feels steady, ancient, and indifferent. It is not an unfriendly cold, just a cold that has never needed to change. The water down here has been chilled for centuries, untouched by the fickle swings of weather above. It's a place where molecules drift at a gentler pace, where energy moves more slowly, where life has adapted to operate with extreme efficiency. This stable cold also shapes the movements of nutrients. Organic material sinking from above drifts through these layers like slow-falling snow, breaking down gradually in the chilly depths. The low temperature allows this marine snow to persist longer, offering a steady, if sparse, food supply to those patient enough to collect it. It is not a bounty, but in a world where energy is precious, every drifting flake has meaning. As you continue downward, through the gentle cold of the deep, you begin to understand why this part of the ocean feels timeless. Temperature dictates pace, and here the pace is slow enough to feel eternal. The water cradling you is ancient, the cold around you constant. The life nearby adapted to rhythms measured not in minutes or hours, but in years and centuries. This is a realm shaped by temperature, preserved by it, and ruled by the creatures who have learned to thrive in a world where the warmth of the sun is nothing more than a myth, passed down from drifting particles far above. As you drift deeper into the ocean, you begin to notice something that doesn't make itself known through sight or sound, but through the quiet, persistent squeeze of physics itself. Pressure. It's the sort of force that doesn't shout. It simply increases, with the calm certainty of someone stacking textbooks on a sleeping cat. Every 10 meters down, the ocean adds another layer of weight equivalent to the atmosphere you walked through at sea level. It's like the planet has a hobby of collecting invisible anvils and carefully arranging them above your head as you descend. At first, this doesn't feel particularly dramatic. The water near the surface adds pressure so gently that your body barely acknowledges the change. Humans are basically soft sacks full of water, and water doesn't compress easily, which is convenient because it means we don't pop instantly like overinflated balloons. But as the depth increases, the ocean's patience shifts to ambition. What began as a gentle squeeze turns into a determined, unrelenting force that would make your bones reconsider their life choices. By the time you reach hundreds of meters below, the pressure grows into something far beyond human tolerance. If you descended unprotected, the ocean wouldn't even give you enough time to say, well, that escalated, before compressing you into a science lesson. The math behind this pressure climb is simple, but its effects are anything but. Gravity pulls down on the ocean, and every layer of water presses on the layers beneath it. Since water is heavy, much heavier than the cheerful waves at the beach would have you believe, the deeper you go, the more crushing that weight becomes. At 1,000 meters, the pressure is about 100 times what you live in on land. At 4,000 meters, it's 400 times. Past that point, the numbers start feeling less like scientific measurements and more like exaggerated threats. Imagine the entire mass of a small car resting on every square inch of your body. Now imagine the car brought along its heavier cousin, a few friends, and maybe a bowling alley for good measure. And yet, in this abyssal squeeze where no unprotected human could hope to survive, life not only persists, it thrives. Deep-sea organisms navigate pressures so immense that even specialized submarines groan and protest as they descend. If you've ever heard someone complain about a stiff breeze, imagine that same person trying to handle a force strong enough to collapse steel. Down here, the creatures are built for this environment in ways that seem almost unfairly clever. For starters, many deep-sea animals have bodies without rigid air-filled spaces. Humans rely heavily on pockets of air, lungs, sinuses, even the tiny compartments inside our ears. Down here, air is the enemy. It compresses easily, which means it collapses quickly under pressure. Deep-sea organisms avoid this problem by having soft, flexible bodies that bend without breaking. Jellyfish-like creatures drift with a kind of casual elegance, as if completely unaware they're living in conditions that would pulverize most other forms of life. Some fish have minimal skeletal structures, trading sturdiness for flexibility. Their bones, if you can call them that, are often more cartilage than calcium, allowing them to withstand pressure without snapping like twigs under a heavy boot. Then, there's the issue of cellular structure. Deep-sea animals aren't just surviving pressure, they're built around it. Their cell membranes contain special molecules that keep them stable in conditions that would make typical cells shrivel like raisins in a dehydrator. Their proteins are shaped differently too, adapted so they don't fold incorrectly under intense compression. It's as if evolution went into the lab, rolled up its sleeves, and designed molecular armor with the precision of a watchmaker. And what about gas-filled organs, like the swim bladders found in many fish near the surface? Down here, those would be an instant disaster. Deep-sea creatures generally forgo such structures altogether. Instead, they use oils, fats, or clever buoyancy tricks that let them hover effortlessly without risking catastrophic implosion. If surface fish are the hot air balloons of the ocean, deep-sea fish are more like neutrally buoyant ninjas, silent, efficient, and almost unfairly well adapted. One particularly remarkable adaptation comes from organisms that reinforce their bodies using unique chemicals. Some amphipods, tiny crustaceans drifting casually around extreme depths, coat their exoskeletons with a compound that resembles natural antifreeze, but also helps maintain structural integrity under pressure. They're small but sturdy in a way that would make a tank designer nod respectfully. Even the way deep-sea creatures move reflects the pressure they live in. Fast, explosive motion is rare at great depths because water becomes denser and harder to push aside. Instead, animals glide, pulse, or drift with deliberate slowness. Their movements feel almost meditative, as if the entire deep ocean agreed to live life at the pace of a documentary narrator. As you continue sinking into this pressurized kingdom, the sensation isn't one of threat, but of immense, quiet power. The pressure doesn't feel malicious. It simply exists. An ancient force that has shaped life in some of the most profound ways on Earth. It's a reminder that the deep sea doesn't need to roar or flash to command respect. All it has to do is sit quietly, being incredibly, undeniably heavy. And down here, in this world sculpted by pressure, life has found ways to flourish that defy our expectations. Just as light faded gracefully above and temperature settled into silence below, now pressure takes the spotlight, teaching us that the ocean doesn't conquer the impossible. It casually lives in it. As you drift farther into the dark, something surprising begins to happen. The pitch-black world around you, which moments ago seemed as empty as a forgotten closet, starts to sparkle. Not brightly. There are no floodlights or neon signs down here. but with small, deliberate glimmers, soft pulses. Flickers like tiny stars testing their brightness settings, in a place where sunlight has long since given up. The deep ocean becomes a theatre of living light. Bioluminescence isn't just a novelty here. It's the primary language, the currency of survival, the glow-in-the-dark alphabet that countless creatures have mastered. The first thing you notice is how varied the glow is. Some lights are steady, like small lanterns burning calmly in the void. Others blink rapidly, flickering in complex patterns that would put the world's most caffeinated firefly to shame. Some shine in pale blue, the most common colour down here, while others lean toward green or even a whisper of red, which is rare and expensive in evolutionary terms. It's like attending a cosmic light show where the performers are tiny, quiet, and very serious about their choreography. Why do so many deep-sea creatures glow? The answer lies in the simple fact that darkness rules this world, and light, any light, becomes a powerful tool. Up on the surface, animals rely on vision, colour, and movement. Down here, even the simplest glimmer can carry meaning. A small flash might say, "Hey, I'm here." A rapid pulse could mean, "Stay away, seriously." And certain carefully crafted patterns might as well be the deep-sea version of a personal ad. Communication is one of the most common purposes for these biological lights. In the vast darkness, finding a mate isn't just difficult. It's basically a cosmic scavenger hunt where everyone forgot to leave clues. Some species have evolved signature blinks or patterns that help them find their own kind. Imagine scrolling through a dating app except everyone speaks solely in blue Morse code. A species of midwater shrimp, for instance, produces quick rhythmic flashes that potential partners recognize instantly, a glowing hello that cuts through the abyss like a tiny lighthouse. But communication is only one chapter in the glowing playbook. Camouflage is another, and here the ocean gets wonderfully sneaky. Many animals glow downward, matching the faint, filtered light coming from the surface far above. This strategy, called counter-illumination, makes them harder to spot from below. Predators looking upward see a soft glow instead of a silhouette. It's the deep-sea equivalent of wearing a shirt that perfectly matches the wallpaper behind you. Nature's version of blending in, but with LEDs. Then there are the hunters. And these are the creatures that use light with the precision of stage directors. The most iconic example is the anglerfish. Though you won't hear that name mentioned by its prey, who probably know it as that suspicious, glowy thing I shouldn't swim toward. The anglerfish dangles a luminous lure that wiggles invitingly in the dark. Smaller fish approach, thinking they've stumbled upon an easy meal, or maybe just a very confused plankton. Instead, they find themselves face to face with jaws that hinge open like a trapdoor designed by someone who never learned the phrase too much. Other predators take a subtler approach. Some squid release glowing clouds instead of ink, distracting predators with floating light while they make their escape. It's the deep-sea equivalent of tossing confetti into someone's face and sprinting away before they realize what happened. Even tiny plankton participate, flashing brightly when disturbed, an alarm system that might startle predators or make those predators visible to even larger creatures nearby. It's a chaotic chain reaction, one small blink sparking an underwater light storm. But perhaps the strangest and most charming use of bioluminescence is simply showing off. Some species flash complex patterns not to warn or lure or flee, but to advertise themselves. Now, to be clear, deep-sea animals are not out here trying to host a rave, but many species create light displays that seem oddly theatrical, as if communicating, "Look at me, I'm spectacular." In a world where visibility is nearly zero, glowing becomes a kind of brand identity. If surface creatures use colour and shape to stand out, deep-sea animals use tiny, intricate lanterns built into their own bodies. What makes all of this even more remarkable is how creatures generate the light. Unlike surface glowing things, think neon signs or glow sticks, deep-sea bioluminescence is a chemical reaction that takes place inside or on the surface of an organism's cells. It involves luciferin, a molecule that produces light when combined with oxygen, and luciferase, an enzyme that controls the reaction. Together, they create illumination with stunning efficiency. Almost no heat, no wasted energy, just pure, clean light. If humans could borrow this trick, our flashlights would last decades without recharging. Some animals produce their light internally, crafting the chemicals themselves. Others rely on symbiotic bacteria, tiny microbial tenants living inside specialized organs. These bacterial colonies glow continuously, like natural light bulbs with exceptionally low rent requirements. The host animal, in turn, regulates the brightness by covering or exposing the glowing organ, much like opening or closing miniature shutters. As you drift among these glowing creatures, the darkness around you no longer feels empty or foreboding. Instead, it feels alive with signals, stories, warnings, invitations, and tiny conversations flickering through the water. This is a world where light isn't just illumination. It's language, identity, survival, and sometimes pure spectacle. In the deep ocean, where sunlight can't be bothered to show up, life has invented its own stars. And they're everywhere, drifting, pulsing, shimmering across the darkness like whispers of a world that refuses to stay hidden. As you sink past the glowing world of bioluminescence into even deeper darkness, the familiar rules of body shape begin to crumble. The creatures that inhabit these depths do not resemble the streamlined, photogenic animals featured in aquariums or nature calendars. Down here, evolution seems to have thrown out the standard design templates and wandered off into a creative haze, happily sketching shapes that look like they were brainstormed at 3 a.m. during a meeting no one expected to attend. These are the abyssal plains, where light is absent, nutrients are scarce, and survival demands designs that range from elegant to downright surreal. The first thing you notice is how many abyssal animals appear oddly elongated, stretched as if the deep sea were gently pulling them in every direction at once. Consider the tripod fish, a creature that stands, yes, stands, on 3 long, spindly fins, like a minimalist sculpture placed carefully on the seafloor. These fins, which can be several times the length of the fish's body, allow it to perch above the sediment while it faces the current with blank, milky eyes that don't actually see. They don't need to. The fish senses prey through vibrations, sitting in its strange tripod pose, like it's waiting for an underwater bus that runs once every 3 weeks. Then there's the gulper eel, a creature that looks like someone combined a ribbon, a balloon, and a very confused dragon. Its enormous mouth can open wide enough to swallow animals larger than itself, which is evolution's polite way of saying, you live where food is unpredictable. Better be prepared. Its tail ends in a tiny, glowing lure that helps it navigate and attract prey, giving the whole animal the comedic silhouette of a giant sock puppet following a flashlight. Many abyssal animals share a gelatinous, soft body design. In a world with crushing pressure and almost no support from light or plants, being firm and bony is more of a luxury than a necessity. Instead, deep-sea creatures embrace flexibility. Their bodies wobble and ripple with each movement, more like drifting apparitions than solid creatures. This softness isn't a flaw, it's a survival strategy. Without the need to fight currents or swim fast, Many simply float, conserving precious energy by letting the ocean move around them. Some, however, take this gelatinous aesthetic to new extremes. The blobfish, famous for its rather unflattering surface-level photographs, is actually perfectly suited to its deep water home. Down where pressure is intense, its body appears normal enough, buoyant and balanced. But bring it to shallow water, and suddenly it looks like a wax figure that forgot to solidify. This is what happens when evolution sculpted you specifically for a world where gravity and pressure feel entirely different. The blobfish is proof that context matters, and that nature sometimes designs creatures so specialized that taking them anywhere else becomes unintentionally comedic. Other designs take the opposite route. Intricate, delicate structures that seem too fragile to exist. Sea cucumbers, for example, drift across the abyssal plains like whimsical creations made of silk. Some species possess feathery appendages that bloom outward like underwater ferns, filtering food from the water with the grace of slow-motion dancers. Their bodies bend and sway with the gentlest currents, making them look like drifting decorations placed in the ocean by a whimsical interior designer. And then there are the creatures covered in spikes, tendrils, tassels, or structures so odd you find yourself silently questioning whether nature was experimenting with abstract sculpture. Bristle worms glide across the seafloor, armed with iridescent feather-like appendages that shimmer even in near darkness. Meanwhile, deep-sea sea stars stretch their arms into elaborate fractal patterns, their symmetry both beautiful and slightly unsettling, as though they were designed by someone who couldn't decide how many directions a creature should point. One of the most surreal body plans belongs to the Dumbo octopus, named for the tiny ear-like fins that flap gently above its eyes. With a rounded body and graceful movements, it looks almost cartoonishly adorable, drifting through the deep like a small, polite ghost who's slightly embarrassed to be here. Its soft form and quiet motion speak to a life spent avoiding fast chases and sudden movements. In the abyss, subtlety is superior to speed, but eccentric body shapes aren't only about aesthetics. They reflect the unique challenges of this environment. Food scarcity, for example, leads to extreme adaptations. Some animals develop enormous mouths to take advantage of any food source that drifts by. Others grow sensory organs so sensitive they can detect a single particle of organic matter in the surrounding water. There are creatures with bodies designed purely to maximize surface area, allowing them to absorb nutrients or detect faint chemical trails. Every strange limb, curve, tendril, or fin tells a story about the necessity of conserving energy, blending into the darkness, or capturing food in unpredictable bursts. The absence of sunlight also liberates evolution from the constraints of color. Without the need to attract mates visually or hide from predators using patterns, many abyssal creatures are ghostly pale, deep black, or translucent. Their bodies shimmer with quiet minimalism, as though nature decided that fashion trends no longer applied at this depth. The result is an odd mix of stark elegance and eerie oddity. As you drift among these creatures with their unusual silhouettes, one truth becomes clear. The deep sea is the universe's most dedicated art studio. Here, life has been sculpted by pressures, both literal and metaphorical, into forms that defy expectations. These designs may look bizarre, whimsical, or even comedic to surface dwellers, but every shape is a masterpiece of survival. Down here, where sunlight has long since abandoned the world, evolution doesn't just adapt, it improvises. And in the abyss, nature's midnight doodles aren't mistakes. They're the blueprint for a thriving community of the strange, the soft, the spiky, the stretchy, and the spectacular. By the time you sink into the midnight zone, the darkness is no longer something that gradually surrounds you. It's something that defines the environment entirely. There is no trace of natural light here. Not a hint, not a whisper. It's the kind of darkness that would make a blackout feel chatty. If the twilight zone felt like late evening, the midnight zone is the moment someone switches off the universe's light switch and simply walks away. And yet somehow, in this unending black backdrop, a thriving world of hunters and hunted persists, each one having perfected its own method of survival in a place where sight is mostly a rumor. The first thing to understand about hunting in the midnight zone is that efficiency is everything. Energy is precious. Food doesn't wander by on a regular schedule. And the ocean isn't exactly offering discounts. So predators here have evolved strategies that are slow, subtle, and sometimes downright bizarre. Approaches that make human patience look embarrassingly short-lived. If you've ever waited on customer service long enough to learn a representative's entire hold music playlist, congratulations, you share something with deep-sea predators. Down here, waiting is a lifestyle. Consider the deep-sea anglerfish, whose entire hunting strategy revolves around letting dinner come to it. This creature doesn't swim around searching for prey. It simply floats in the dark like a sentient trap, waiting for something curious enough to investigate. Its luminous lure, dangling from a modified fin ray, glows with a soft, eerie pulse, waving gently as if it's trying to flag down a taxi. Smaller fish approach, thinking it might be food or simply a mysterious underwater glow stick. What they find instead are teeth arranged with the architectural elegance of a medieval torture device. The anglerfish strikes not with speed, but with certainty, snapping shut with a precision born from long hours of stillness. But not all predators glow to lure prey. Some prefer ambush strategies so subtle they border on philosophical. The deep-sea dragonfish, for example, waits motionless in the water column, its sleek body blending seamlessly into the surrounding darkness. It isn't advertising anything, flashing anything, or waving anything. It simply exists in stillness, a living punctuation mark in the unlit water. When prey swims close enough, usually something small and unsuspecting, the dragonfish lunges with jaws that hinge open far wider than you'd expect from something shaped like a ribbon. It's a burst of action in a world built on waiting. Others take camouflage to the next level. Some species of deep-sea crustaceans bury themselves in the sediment until only their sensory organs poke out, listening for the faint vibrations of a passing meal. Their patience is extraordinary. They can wait hours, days, or even longer before making their move, lunging upward with speed that feels almost unfair after such long inactivity. If ever there were creatures capable of winning hide-and-seek championships, it would be these silent, buried hunters. And then there are predators that rely on unusual appendages designed to detect the slightest cues of nearby movement. Certain squid spread long, delicate tentacles outward, letting them drift like ghostly antennae in the water. These tentacles act as early warning systems, able to detect even the faintest brush of a passing creature. Once the signal comes, the squid moves in carefully controlled bursts, because in the midnight zone, accuracy is far more valuable than speed. These predators don't chase wildly. They strike with the calm precision of someone removing a crumb from a table with chopsticks. Of course, not all hunting strategies are passive. Some predators are built for sudden acceleration, using their muscular bodies to dart forward with startling force. The fangtooth fish, for example, has a mouthful of jagged teeth so long it has to store them in special grooves just to close its jaw. It uses bursts of motion to ram into prey, relying on brute force rather than glow or stealth. Its appearance may seem fierce, but the fangtooth operates with the same fundamental principle as the rest of the Midnight Zone. Conserve energy until the moment absolutely demands otherwise. One of the most remarkable tactics involves predators that take advantage of drifting marine snow, the constant, slow rain of organic material falling from higher waters. This material attracts tiny organisms, which attract slightly larger organisms, which eventually attract the predators. Some fish hover motionless just beneath patches of marine snow, like shoppers waiting quietly for someone else to restock a shelf. When small creatures gather to feed, the predators strike upward in quick, precise movements, snatching their meal and then settling again into stillness. It's a hunting strategy, built on understanding the slow rhythm of the deep. Even scavengers in the Midnight Zone display impressive adaptations. When a larger food source, like a fallen carcass, drifts down from above, predators suddenly emerge from the darkness in numbers that feel almost supernatural. These animals can detect faint chemical signatures from impressive distances, using them as cues to home in on rare, valuable meals. When food is scarce, competition becomes fierce. But the process itself is patient, methodical, and deeply coordinated by instinct. The Midnight Zone is a place where rushing is a luxury no one can afford. Every hunting strategy reflects the careful balance of effort and reward. Every motion is calculated. Every glow, vibration, or ambush technique is honed for maximum efficiency. Down here, the predators don't chase, they anticipate. They don't waste, they wait. And they don't survive through sheer strength, they survive through strategy. As you drift among them, watching pale shapes hover like patient shadows in the dark, you realize that the Midnight Zone isn't a place of constant chaos or frantic hunts. It's a world shaped by silence and stillness, where the most successful predators are the ones who know that patience is not just a virtue, it's survival itself. Descending into the deep ocean is a bit like slipping into a world where silence seems to rule, until you listen closely and realize you've entered a realm that never truly sleeps. Down here, in the pressure-soaked darkness where light is useless and vision is more of a suggestion than a sense, sound becomes the ocean's lifeline. It is the messenger, the map, the warning system, and sometimes even the love letter. If the surface ocean is all about what you can see, the deep ocean is a place where you learn to hear. The first surprise is how well sound travels underwater. On land, a good shout might carry across a field if the wind feels generous. In the ocean, sound can travel hundreds, even thousands of kilometers with barely a drop in strength. Water is a denser medium than air, and because of that, it carries vibrations faster and farther. You send out a sound in the deep sea, and it behaves like that extremely enthusiastic acquaintance who repeats your message to absolutely everyone, without ever checking if you wanted it shared. This quality creates an environment where hearing becomes far more valuable than seeing. In darkness, sight can fail you instantly, but sound cuts through the vastness, bouncing and bending and rolling through water with incredible clarity. It becomes a way to understand the world, even if that world is invisible. Some of the ocean's most iconic performers are, of course, whales. In shallow waters, you can hear their songs drifting like mournful, echoing poetry. But in the deep ocean, where everything resonates differently, their voices transform into the ultimate surround sound experience. Imagine standing in an endless concert hall, where the walls, ceiling, and floor are all water. Every note swells and stretches, wrapping around you until you can't tell whether the sound is coming from above, below, or somewhere in the mysterious middle. It's as if the ocean itself becomes the instrument, vibrating with long, low notes that roll like distant thunder. Blue whales, for example, produce calls so low and powerful that some drop below the range of human hearing. These infrasonic rumbles travel across entire ocean basins, carrying information to individuals so far away they might as well be on opposite ends of the world. Whale calls are not simple noises, they're complex messages. Scientists believe these sounds may help whales navigate, coordinate movement, find mates, or simply declare their presence in the watery expanse. If the deep ocean were a vast, echoing city, the whales would be the ones broadcasting on all frequencies, their voices drifting through the underwater streets like ancient, resonant broadcasts. But whales aren't the only musicians here. Some smaller deep-sea animals produce clicks, knocks, croaks, or subtle pulses that bounce through the water like whispered telegrams. Deep-sea shrimp create crackling sounds that, when amplified, resemble a rolling campfire. Certain fish grind bones or vibrate muscles to produce rhythmic beats that signal territory or attract mates. It is a noisy neighborhood, in the quietest way possible. Then, there are the creatures who use sound to navigate. Dolphins, in shallower waters, are famous for echolocation, but deeper down, other species use variations of this trick to sense the shape of their surroundings. Because light cannot help them, these animals build their world out of echoes. They send out small bursts of sound and analyze the returning vibrations to detect obstacles, prey, or potential threats. To them, the ocean is not silent at all. It is filled with meaningful reflections, a three-dimensional acoustic map drawn in real time. Sound also reveals long-distance features in a way that vision cannot. Underneath the ocean lies a remarkable phenomenon called the SOFAR channel, a layer where sound waves get trapped and can travel exceptionally far, like voices carried along a natural underwater highway. Many animals instinctively take advantage of this channel, sending their calls drifting along it to increase their communication range. It's the biological equivalent of using the world's most efficient postal service. Even the seafloor participates in the symphony. Movements of tectonic plates produce deep geological rumbles. Submarine volcanoes cough out bubbles that pop with tiny bursts of sound. Underwater landslides generate low, rumbling groans that travel outward like acoustic shockwaves. These sounds may seem ominous, but they are simply part of the ocean's natural rhythm, a reminder that even the floor of this world is alive with motion. For humans exploring the deep with submersibles or hydrophones, these sounds are often surprising. A single whale call can shake the senses. A crackle of shrimp can drown out distant signals. A deep geological shift can rumble like a ghostly drum roll. It becomes clear that the deep sea is not empty, it is articulate. Listening to this underwater soundscape feels almost intimate. You begin hearing patterns, the gentle clicking of distant creatures feeding, the rhythmic pulses of animals marking territory, the low hum of ocean currents rubbing against the landscape. It's a whole language, but one built not from words but from vibrations, frequencies, and tones. Sometimes the sounds carry emotional weight, even if the animals never intended it. Whale songs can feel haunting. The crackle of shrimp feels warm and cozy. The echo of a distant thump might spark curiosity. But most of all, These sounds create a sense of connection, a realization that the deep ocean, so often imagined as a silent or empty world, is instead an enormous, resonant cathedral filled with voices. In the midnight quiet of the deep, sound is everything. It is life's compass, its storytelling medium, its warning bell, and its orchestra. And as you float there in the darkness, listening to calls drifting through the water like ancient hymns, you understand something profound. The deep sea isn't silent. It's simply speaking in a language humans are only just beginning to learn. As you drift downward through the darkness, the ocean floor beneath you begins to transform from a gently sloping expanse into something far more dramatic. At first, it's subtle, a slight dip, a faint hint of a ledge. But then, the landscape suddenly falls away, revealing a vast chasm so enormous it makes every canyon on land look like a casual crack in the sidewalk. Underwater canyons and trenches do not bother with small gestures. They rise and fall with the scale of continents, carving into the earth with the quiet confidence of features that have existed long before human eyes ever imagined them. If the ocean had a habit of hiding things, this is where it would store its largest secrets, like a messy kid shoving entire mountain ranges under the bed and hoping no one checks. The first thing that strikes you about these underwater formations is their overwhelming scale. Submarine canyons can be hundreds of kilometers long and plunge deeper than the Grand Canyon. Some begin right off continental shelves, slicing down with impossible steepness into the abyss. You might expect such dramatic terrain to come with fanfare, maybe a few warning signs, a rumble, at least some bubbles. But no, the deep ocean does nothing so theatrical. The canyons simply appear, yawning open beneath you, silent and monumental. These formations weren't carved by rushing water in the way river canyons form on land. Instead, they were shaped by gravity-driven sediment flows, massive underwater avalanches of sand, mud, and crushed rock. These turbidity currents can move at incredible speeds, carrying more material in a single event than some rivers move in an entire year. Imagine an underwater landslide thundering down a slope, yet because it's happening in the deep, you'd never see the chaos, only the sculpted aftermath. Over millions of years, these dramatic flows carve out chasms so deep and wide they could swallow entire cities without leaving a ripple at the surface. Then there are the trenches, the grandest, deepest scars on the planet's shell. They form where tectonic plates meet, and one plate sinks beneath another in a slow, grinding descent into the mantle. These trenches are long, curving arcs that trace the edges of continents like the punctuation marks of geology. They are miles deeper than most canyons, and far narrower relative to their depth, giving them a stark, razor-like profile. The Mariana Trench, for instance, is so deep that if you dropped Mount Everest into it, you'd still have a few kilometers of water above the summit. The ocean doesn't just hide toys under the bed, it hides the whole bed frame, the mattress, and at least 2 backup beds. As you move along the edge of such a trench, the scale becomes difficult to comprehend. There is no horizon here, no distant landmark, no changing light to orient you. Instead, the sea floor simply disappears into a darkness, so thick it feels like a physical presence. The walls of the trench look as if the earth has cracked open, revealing a secret interior that was never meant for eyes, human or otherwise. If mountains feel triumphant and skyward, trenches feel inward and contemplative, like the planet is folding in on itself in silent meditation. What's most uncanny about these enormous features is their stillness. Despite their dramatic formation, the trenches and canyons of the deep ocean are some of the quietest places on Earth. No rushing water, no tumbling rocks, no wind, just centuries of calm. The slopes are often draped in fine sediment that settles like a gentle snowfall, undisturbed except by the occasional drifting creature. It feels less like a landscape and more like a forgotten cathedral, untouched by time or turmoil. And yet, despite this seemingly empty quiet, these canyons and trenches are vital pathways for life. Turbidity currents funnel nutrients downward, nourishing communities in the abyss. Some species use the steep walls of canyons as highways, moving up and down through depths in daily or seasonal migrations. Predators lurk along the edges, using the terrain as ambush points. Even microbes flourish here, thriving in sediments rich with organic matter from long-gone eras. But life in the deepest trenches is a different story. Here, conditions stretch the limits of biology. Frigid temperatures, crushing pressure, and complete darkness. Yet even in these harsh environments, unique organisms flourish. Tiny amphipods scuttle across the sediment with delicate efficiency. Transparent snailfish, pale as ghostly ribbons, glide through the still water in the trench's deepest points. Their bodies look fragile, yet they are perfectly adapted to withstand pressures so extreme they would collapse most known materials. Life here doesn't just survive, it excels at being improbable. The geological history embedded in these formations is astonishing. Sediment layers on trench floors record millions of years of Earth's climate shifts, volcanic eruptions, and biological evolution. The walls of some canyons reveal ancient strata formed before humans existed. These underwater landscapes act as archives, massive, silent libraries, written in stone, accessible only to those willing to descend far enough to read them. As you drift upward from the trench's rim, or glide away from a canyon's shadowed walls, the scale slowly begins to reorient. You leave behind features so large and so quiet that they distort your sense of size and distance. The darkness softens. The landscape rises. But a part of you remains aware of what lies below. Vast, hidden architecture carved into the planet's skin. The deep ocean has its own version of mountains, valleys, cliffs, and plains, all tucked away where sunlight never reaches. And while the surface world often feels loud, bright, and chaotic, these submerged giants exist in an eternal hush. It's the ocean's secret topography, grand, ancient, and carefully tucked out of sight. Like a kid cleaning their room by shoving everything under the bed, Earth has hidden some of its greatest features beneath the waves. The difference is that down here, the secrets are not messy. They are magnificent. After leaving behind the dramatic cliffs and plunging shadows of underwater canyons and trenches, you might expect the deep ocean floor to continue its flair for geologic drama. But instead, as you drift farther into the abyssal realm, the landscape suddenly levels out with such impressive commitment that it feels as though the planet ironed it. Gone are the steep drops and towering ridges. Before you now lies the abyssal plain, one of the flattest, calmest, most unbothered environments on Earth. If the seafloor were a personality type, this zone would be the minimalist friend who owns 3 identical shirts and considers a potted plant too much colour. What makes the abyssal plain so astonishing is not just its flatness, but its sheer scale. These plains cover more than half of the planet's surface. Vast stretches of smooth terrain that extend for thousands of kilometres without a single dramatic rise or fall. To the human eye, or whatever instruments you're hypothetically using down here, It looks like the ocean simply forgot to decorate the place. As if one day, in the middle of sculpting mountains and carving trenches, Earth got tired, shrugged and said, "Flat is fine." But the secret behind this expansive monotony is actually a long, patient process of sediment buildup. Every day, every week, every year, tiny particles drift slowly from the surface: shell fragments, dead plankton, dust, minerals, microscopic leftovers from countless biological processes. This steady rain, known as marine snow, drifts through the water column like the world's slowest blizzard. It takes months, sometimes years, for a single particle to descend from surface waters to the abyss. But once it arrives, it settles gently into the growing sediment blanket that smooths the landscape like an ever-thickening comforter. Over millions of years, the accumulation becomes immense. The sediment tucks into every crack and crevice, ironing out irregularities, until the plains resemble vast underwater deserts of fine, pale dust. In some places, the sediment can be several kilometers thick, a fact that would surely bewilder anyone who thinks dusting a bookshelf once a year is reasonable maintenance. But here in the abyss, time is patient and sediment is plentiful. The surprising twist, however, is that these plains are not empty. What looks like a barren seafloor, the geological equivalent of a motel hallway, is actually buzzing with microscopic life. Not the dramatic, glowing, toothy creatures of the upper deep, but the tiny, persistent, unbelievably numerous organisms that quietly run the planet's nutrient economy. If the ocean were a bustling city, these microbes would be the invisible workforce that keeps everything from collapsing. They may not sparkle or glide or wave flashy appendages, but they are industrious beyond measure. Tiny bacteria, archaea, and other micro-critters thrive just beneath the sediment surface, forming dense communities that break down the organic material drifting down from above. Their job is crucial: recycling nutrients so that they can re-enter the ocean's vast ecological loops. Every flake of marine snow that lands here becomes food, fuel, or future sediment, thanks to these microscopic recyclers. Some microbes specialize in breaking down complex organic molecules. Others rely on chemical processes that draw energy from the minerals in the sediment. Some work aerobically, others anaerobically, and all of them work constantly. No holidays, no weekends, no office snack drawer. It's a quiet kind of busyness, the sort you don't hear or see unless you're looking through a microscope. But in terms of influence, these microorganisms are oceanic powerhouses. Their activity determines the chemistry of the sediment, affects carbon cycling for the entire planet, and even shapes how nutrients drift back towards shallower waters. The abyssal plains are not deserts. They're enormous microbial workshops humming beneath a deceptively calm surface. Occasionally, larger creatures wander across these plains, though their presence is more like a gentle parade than a bustling street. A sea cucumber might drift slowly across the sediment, vacuuming up organic material like a polite, silent Roomba. Brittle stars sometimes sprawl lazily across the surface, flexing their arms with the kind of dramatic slowness that suggests they strongly value pacing themselves. A few ghostly fish glide close to the bottom, their delicate fins stirring wisps of sediment into pale clouds. But these larger animals are sparse, scattered like distant hikers crossing an endless snowy field. And yet life persists. It adapts. It thrives in ways that seem counterintuitive when you look at the monotone scenery. Down here, energy is precious, motion is measured, every action has a cost. So the creatures that call the abyssal plains home are masters of simplicity. They move slowly, feed efficiently, and exist with stubborn resilience in a world where resources arrive one drifting particle at a time. Every so often, rare events disrupt this tranquil landscape. A whale carcass may descend, landing with the force of a fallen star in the microbial metropolis. This sudden feast, the equivalent of a surprise banquet delivered to a small town, draws creatures from miles away, triggering flurries of activity that ripple through the food web for decades. But once the excitement fades, the plane returns to its usual rhythm. Slow drifting particles, methodical recycling, quiet persistence. As you glide across this vast, understated world, you realize that the abyssal planes are not boring. They are serene. They are not empty. They are efficient. They represent a kind of cosmic calm, a level of stillness that feels almost extraterrestrial. And yet beneath the surface, life is busy, organized, and essential. In the end, the abyssal planes remind you that not every part of nature seeks grandeur. Some parts simply perform their tasks with quiet dedication. They are the ocean's silent backbone, the steady foundation of an ecosystem that stretches from surface to seafloor. And if the scenery looks like the ocean forgot to decorate, maybe that's the point. Down here, function rules over form, and the result is a landscape both humble and immense. As the abyssal plains stretch endlessly behind you, a sudden shift in the water, so subtle at first you almost miss it, signals that something unusual lies ahead. The temperature begins to rise, not with the slow, polite increase you'd feel near a shallow tropical shore, but with the sharp, unexpected warmth of stepping too close to an open oven. Down here, in a world otherwise ruled by cold silence, that warmth is nothing short of shocking. You're drifting into the territory of hydrothermal vents, one of the most alien landscapes on Earth, where the deep ocean floor cracks open and begins exhaling the planet's internal heat like an ancient, rumbling beast. The first thing that hits you is how wrong the numbers feel. Seawater near these vents can reach temperatures of over 300 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead under the right conditions. But because the water is under immense pressure, it doesn't boil. It simply turns into a superheated, mineral-packed jet shooting out from the seafloor with the energy of a natural blowtorch. These vents erupt from fissures where tectonic plates pull apart, allowing seawater to percolate downward into the crust. There, it's heated by magma and spits back upward, loaded with dissolved metals and chemicals, forming black or white plumes, depending on the minerals inside. Hovering near one of these vents feels like witnessing the planet exhale in slow motion. The plumes billow upward in dark, curling shapes, thick with particles that glint like powdered stars. These clouds are so full of iron, sulfur, and other elements that they stain the water around them in smoky columns, rising before dispersing into the abyss. The vents themselves resemble chimneys, tall, jagged mineral towers built from the very substances the hot water carries. Over time, as the superheated fluid meets the cold ocean water, minerals solidify in layers, creating structures that can rise tens of meters high. They look like ruined castle turrets or ancient obelisks placed carefully on the seafloor, monuments built by geology rather than hands. Yet the most astonishing thing about hydrothermal vents isn't the heat, or the towers, or the shimmering plumes. It's the life. Against all odds, in a place completely cut off from sunlight, where temperatures swing between freezing and scorching within inches, ecosystems flourish with a vigor that feels almost defiant. If the rest of the deep sea lives in slow motion, hydrothermal vent communities feel like the bustling downtown district of the abyss. The key to this vibrancy lies in a group of unlikely heroes, bacteria and archaea that use chemical energy rather than light to survive. Instead of photosynthesis, these microorganisms rely on chemosynthesis, a process that uses chemicals in the vent fluid, hydrogen sulfide, methane, and other compounds, to generate energy. It's a metabolic magic trick that allows life to thrive in places where sunlight doesn't even bother to leave a voicemail. These bacteria treat volcanic fumes like a buffet, absorbing the toxic fumes and turning them into usable energy the way a chef turns questionable leftovers into a gourmet meal. If most organisms fled from sulfur-rich water, these microbes belly up to the vent and dig in with gusto. They form dense mats across the rocks and mineral towers, coating them in glistening sheets that shimmer beneath shifting light from the plumes. Some even live inside the tissues of larger animals, forming partnerships so intimate and efficient that they essentially become the organs of their hosts. Take the giant tube worm, one of the most iconic inhabitants of hydrothermal vents. These creatures grow taller than a person, standing upright in clusters that resemble pale, waving forests. Their deep red plumes, the feathery structures at their tips, harbour symbiotic bacteria that feed on vent chemicals. In return, the bacteria supply the worms with nutrients, allowing them to thrive without mouths, stomachs, or any need for sunlight. The entire worm is a living apartment complex for its microscopic tenants. And somehow, the arrangement works beautifully. Nearby, you might find vast swarms of shrimp crowding the rocky slopes, their bodies ghostly pale, except for bright patches of pigment that serve as filters for detecting faint light emitted by the hot fluid. These shrimp gather in dense clusters, so thick that they form writhing carpets, their legs tapping the rocks in constant, coordinated movement. They rely on bacteria too, cultivating them on specialized structures near their mouths, like underwater farmers tending microbial crops. Then there are the vent crabs, squat and sturdy, scuttling among the mineral towers, with the confidence of creatures that know exactly where the best scraps fall. Their white shells glow faintly under the drifting plumes. Mussels and clams gather in colossal beds, thriving thanks to chemosynthetic partners living inside them. Even fish hover nearby, strange pale species that drift in the vent's halo of warmth, taking advantage of a rare abundance of food. Despite the heat, despite the chemicals, despite the dramatic swings in temperature, life here isn't merely surviving. It's thriving in a way that feels almost celebratory. These communities pulse with activity, a stark contrast to the quiet plains and still trenches of the deep. The vents may look dangerous, and to most life they are. But to the creatures adapted to them, they are oases in a dark desert. As you drift back from the towers, the warmth fades quickly, the water cools, the plumes thin, and the landscape shifts once more to silence. Hydrothermal vents are rare, fleeting features, active for years or centuries before going dormant and giving way to new ones. They are dynamic reminders that the deep sea is not static, but alive with geological energy. In the end, these vents show something profound. Life doesn't just adapt to the environment, it rewrites the rules when needed. Down here, where the world should be empty, entire ecosystems bloom in the glow of chemical reactions. And all of it began with bacteria who looked at volcanic fumes and thought, finally, a decent meal. Leaving behind the volcanic heat and chemical fireworks of hydrothermal vents, you might expect the deep ocean to settle down again into cold quiet. And in a way it does, just not the kind of quiet you'd call uneventful. Because as you drift across the darker, calmer stretches of the abyss, the seafloor begins to whisper another story. You begin seeing pale patches of sediment, strange mounds, and shimmering currents that bend the light in ways it shouldn't bend. These odd distortions reveal the next chapter of the deep ocean's eccentric geology: cold seeps. Unlike hydrothermal vents, cold seeps don't erupt with dramatic plumes or belch out scalding water. They're more subtle, like the introverted cousins of vents, quietly releasing fluids packed with methane, hydrogen sulfide, and other chemicals into the surrounding seawater. These fluids are cold, often just a few degrees above freezing, and they seep upward gently, slowly, patiently, like a planet exhaling under its breath. If hydrothermal vents are volcanic rock concerts, cold seeps are atmospheric lounges powered entirely by natural gas with extra drama. What makes cold seeps truly strange is that the seafloor around them looks deceptively calm. No towering chimneys, no superheated eruptions. Instead, the landscape takes on a ghostly, pale glow. Methane and other hydrocarbons filtering through the sediment create patches of carbonate rock, structures that look like ancient ruins left behind by a civilization that preferred minimalism. These rocks form over thousands of years as microbes convert methane into carbonate, building stony frameworks that shelter entire communities. Then there's methane ice, formerly known as methane hydrate or fire ice, a compound that traps methane molecules inside cages of frozen water. You might drift over an area where the sediment seems to glisten oddly, as though the ocean floor has been dusted with frost. It looks delicate, almost pretty, until you remember that this frozen lattice can literally burn if brought to the surface. Nothing says deep sea mystery quite like flammable ice. As you hover near these seep sites, the water around you starts to shimmer subtly, like heat waves rising from pavement on a summer day. It's not heat causing this effect, but differences in density, where methane-rich fluids meet the surrounding seawater. There is something otherworldly about watching the water distort itself in ghost-like ripples, hinting that you've entered a place where chemistry rewrites the rules of the landscape. But, as always in the deep, the most surprising part isn't the geology, it's the life. You might think ecosystems built on cold, methane-rich seepage would be sparse or lethargic, but instead they are dense, thriving enclaves, fueled by chemosynthesis. Unlike the bustling chaos of hydrothermal vents, however, cold seep communities feel steadier, more composed. They operate like neighborhoods that run on natural gas, but prefer to keep things mysterious and theatrical. Take the giant mussel beds that carpet many seep sites. These mussels cluster so tightly that they layer over one another, forming thick, sprawling colonies that look like the world's quietest block party. Inside their bodies live chemosynthetic bacteria, partners that convert methane or hydrogen sulfide into energy. The mussels become not just animals, but tiny chemical factories, hosting microbial tenants that pay rent in calories. Close by, tube worms stretch from the sediment like pale, elongated fingers. They are thinner and more delicate than their giant, vent-dwelling cousins, but their strategy is similar. Let symbiotic bacteria do the heavy metabolic lifting. These worms, which lack digestive systems altogether, absorb chemicals directly through their tissues and transport them to internal bacteria that convert them into usable energy. It's not a glamorous lifestyle, but in a place where sunlight is irrelevant and methane is plentiful, it works beautifully. Then there are the clams, which gather in tight clusters as if gossiping about the latest chemical variation in the sediment. Their tissues also house chemosynthetic bacteria, creating a complex interplay between animal and microbe. It's an entire neighborhood powered by chemistry, with everyone, from the tiniest cell to the largest clam, benefiting from the shared energy economy. Cold seeps also attract more mobile residents. Certain fish species, ghostly and slow-moving, linger near the edges of seep communities, feeding on crustaceans and mollusks that flock to the area. Crabs scuttle through the mussel beds, picking their way through the maze of shells with practiced ease. Some shrimp species, adapted to life in these chemical-rich environments, graze on bacterial mats that coat the rocks in thin, shimmering films. To the untrained eye, it looks like they're scraping invisible food from the seafloor. But under a microscope, those patches are bustling cities of microbes. One of the most remarkable features of cold seep ecosystems is their longevity. While hydrothermal vents flare dramatically and then fade as geological activity shifts, cold seeps can persist for thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. They are slow-burn systems, literally and figuratively, providing stable habitats in a world where stability is rare. Entire generations of mussels, worms, and microbes come and go, while the seep continues whispering methane from its hidden reservoirs. The chemical processes here are subtle but powerful. As bacteria break down methane, they help regulate greenhouse gas levels in the ocean, preventing enormous methane releases into the water and atmosphere. These tiny, invisible workers play a quiet but essential role in the planet's climate balance. In their own microscopic way, they are environmental heroes who, once again, treat volcanic gases, methane, and sulfides not as toxins, but as an all-you-can-eat buffet. As you drift away from the seep, the shimmering water fades, the density gradients dissolve, and the seabed blends once more into the quiet, soft darkness of the deep. Cold seeps do not shout for attention. They do not glow, erupt, or tower dramatically. But beneath their understated exteriors lies an entire world of chemical ingenuity and biological adaptation. A world where life thrives on gases and reactions instead of sunlight or heat. In a realm defined by darkness and pressure, cold seeps are reminders that life doesn't simply adapt, it invents. It finds opportunity in the unlikeliest places, turning the ocean's hidden chemistry into thriving, enigmatic neighborhoods powered by natural gas, with a little extra drama. As you move away from the quiet chemical neighborhoods of cold seeps, the darkness around you stretches wide and open again, vast, empty, motionless. At first glance, you might assume this region of the abyss is home only to the small and the subtle, creatures that conserve energy with minimalist lifestyles and modest body plans. But the deep sea, ever fond of surprises, offers a twist. In this world where light is absent, food is scarce, and pressure rivals a compactor with an attitude problem, some animals grow to truly astonishing sizes. These are the deep-sea giants, enormous, enigmatic beings that seem to have completely ignored nature's hints about staying petite in extreme environments. If evolution handed out memos, these creatures either didn't read theirs or filed them directly into the recycling bin. One of the most legendary of these giants is the colossal squid. Not to be confused with the giant squid, which is impressive in its own right but slightly smaller. The colossal squid is the heavyweight champion of cephalopods. With eyes the size of dinner plates and tentacles lined with swiveling hooks, it drifts through the deep like something dreamed up by a novelist who clearly never learned the word subtlety. The colossal squid doesn't race through the water. Instead, it moves with slow, calculated precision, making the most of its massive strength. Its limbs are thick, muscular cables, and its body has the dense, purposeful heft of an animal built to operate in crushing pressure. Yet for all its might, encounters with this squid remain incredibly rare. It's a shadow among shadows, glimpsed only in fleeting moments, when one surfaces accidentally, or when a lucky camera catches the blur of movement large enough to count as deep-sea thunder. Then, in spectacular contrast, there's the giant isopod, a creature that looks like a pill bug that discovered weightlifting and took it way too seriously. Reaching lengths of over 1/2 meter, these oversized crustaceans shuffle across the seafloor with the slow determination of animals that have all the time in the world. Their thick, armored shells gleam faintly in the dimness, segment by segment, giving them the appearance of ancient knights wandering the abyss on mysterious errands. Despite their intimidating size, they are surprisingly nonchalant creatures, scavengers who show up whenever something edible drifts down from above, tuck in politely, and then do absolutely nothing for months on end. It's a lifestyle enviable in its simplicity. Eat well occasionally, nap frequently, repeat indefinitely. Another category of deep-sea giants includes the mysterious beaked whales, which can dive deeper than almost any other marine mammal. These whales, some reaching lengths of 13 meters or more, are rarely seen at the surface. They spend most of their lives in near total darkness, plunging thousands of meters down on quiet, methodical hunts. Unlike the grand, singing baleen whales of shallower waters, beaked whales specialize in subtlety. Their bodies are streamlined like biological torpedoes, their faces long and elegant, and their movements graceful in the deep-sea gloom. Watching one appears almost dreamlike, an enormous shape gliding silently through a world where most creatures could fit inside its mouth without even touching the sides. Yet size in the abyss often comes with unexpected forms. Take the giant siphonophores, colonial organisms made up of countless specialized units that function together as a single entity. Some siphonophore species may reach lengths longer than blue whales, stretching into the darkness like glowing, otherworldly ropes. Their bodies drift in long, shimmering strings, delicate and deadly at once. Each segment performs a role. Some float, some feed, some reproduce, and others sting. As a whole, the organism becomes a sprawling, living tapestry that trails through the abyss with eerie stillness. These creatures seem to defy classification, neither fully one animal nor many, and demonstrate that giant can mean more than bulk. It can mean extension, grace, and the slow grandeur of a creature, as long as a small train. Of course, the deep sea also hosts giants that look surprisingly gentle, like the Greenland sleeper shark. These enormous fish move with such unhurried calm that they appear to drift rather than swim, their massive bodies passing silently through the cold darkness. Some individuals may be centuries old, gliding along with the patience of creatures that have seen entire human eras rise and fall above them. Their size and longevity give them an almost mythical presence. Ancient beings who have lived so long that they no longer need speed or aggression. Time itself is their strategy. Even the jellyfish follow suit. In the abyss, some species grow to incredible dimensions. Their bells can stretch meters across, and their tentacles, long, trailing, luminous threads, can extend tens of meters behind them. These giants pulse calmly through the dark, their slow, rhythmic movements creating a kind of ghostly ballet. Despite their size, they are fragile, delicate beings, more water than flesh, yet capable of commanding space with haunting elegance. Why does gigantism appear so often in the deep sea? Scientists believe several factors play a role. Slow metabolism, stable temperatures, vast open space, and a need to conserve energy over long distances. In a world without predators like sharks or orcas roaming nearby, some species can afford to grow large. Others do so because size helps them store energy, survive long periods without food, or drift efficiently through vast, empty regions. Whatever the cause, deep-sea giants are reminders that the ocean doesn't always obey expectations. In a place where scarcity rules and pressure crushes, enormous beings drift with quiet authority. They fill the void not with noise or light, but with presence. Vast, steady, mysterious presence. As you float among them, watching colossal shapes pass through the darkness like moving continents, the deep sea feels larger than any map could ever show. Down here, where giants roam slowly through black water, the abyss becomes a world of myth made real. Proof that even in the most extreme environments, life dreams big. After drifting among giants, creatures so large they seem like legends stitched from seawater, you might expect the story of deep-sea life to keep climbing upward in size and spectacle. But the ocean, being fond of dramatic contrast, now shrinks the scale all the way down to the microscopic. The deep sea's true rulers are not colossal squid or sleeper sharks or rope-long siphonophores. They are microbes, tiny, tireless, and astonishingly influential organisms that quietly keep the ocean running while getting none of the spotlight. If the deep sea were an office, the microbes would be the employees who show up early, fix every problem, and never brag about it. They are, in every sense, the ocean's quiet overachievers. The shift into the microbial world begins subtly. The deep water around you looks empty, still, inert. But that calm is deceptive. In every litre of seawater, even in the cold, nutrient-poor darkness, there are thousands, sometimes millions, of microscopic organisms drifting, dividing, eating, excreting, and performing chemical acrobatics that sustain entire ecosystems. Most of them are invisible without specialized equipment, yet their impact is so immense that the deep ocean would collapse without their constant work. The first group you meet in this microscopic lineup are bacteria and archaea, which together form the backbone of deep-sea biogeochemical cycles. Unlike the flamboyant animals that glow or grow to mythical proportions, these microbes operate with quiet determination. They break down sinking organic particles, harvesting energy from materials that larger creatures either can't digest or don't bother with. Every flake of marine snow that drifts down from the surface, bits of dead plankton, fecal pellets, shed scales, broken shells, eventually meets microbial workers waiting patiently in the abyss. There, the microbes get to work like a legion of tiny recyclers, turning detritus into nutrients that feed the deep sea's food webs. But their talents don't stop at decomposition. Many of these microbes carry out chemical reactions that rival the complexity of industrial processes. Some oxidize ammonia, others convert nitrogen into usable forms, and still others break down methane that seeps through the seafloor. These reactions shape the chemistry of the ocean on a planetary scale. To put it simply, microbes are the reason nutrients keep circulating instead of sinking uselessly into the depths and disappearing forever. They're like the ocean's cleaning staff, maintenance crew, and recycling facility all rolled into one microscopic workforce. Drifting closer to the sediment, you find entire microbial cities hidden within the mud. The uppermost layers of seafloor sediments teem with microbial life, thriving communities that perform their work in slow, patient cycles. Some microbes respire oxygen, others use nitrate or sulfate, and still others survive on nothing more than the faint chemical energy trickling through the mineral grains. They live in gradients, stratified by which chemicals are available at what depth, a kind of microscopic zoning plan, more orderly than many human cities can boast. Move deeper into the sediment, and you encounter microbes that operate at speeds so slow they make glaciers look impulsive. Some divide only once every few years. Others may go decades without a major metabolic shift, yet they persist, locked into a geological rhythm that mirrors the slow pace of the abyss itself. These organisms demonstrate that life doesn't need to be fast to be successful. In the deep sea, survival often belongs to those who perfect the art of doing just enough, exactly when needed. But not all deep-sea microbes are quiet drifters or patient sediment dwellers. Some take on more dynamic roles, forming symbiotic partnerships with animals. In certain species of deep-sea clams, worms, and mussels, microbes live inside their tissues, providing energy in exchange for chemical raw materials. These relationships are so closely intertwined that the animals depend entirely on their microbial partners for survival. The microbes become internal power plants, running chemical conversions with remarkable efficiency. It's a bit like carrying around your own personal energy generator, except this one is alive, microscopic, and incredibly hardworking. Even more surprising are the microbes that thrive inside mineral structures, living within the cracks and pores of rocks miles beneath the seafloor. These deep biosphere communities exist in conditions so extreme: little oxygen, intense pressure, limited organic material, that many scientists only recently accepted they were possible. Yet here they are, performing chemistry in slow motion, sustaining a hidden ecosystem that may stretch kilometers into the Earth's crust. They are life's quiet whisper, persisting in places where life should not logically exist. As you hover in this nearly invisible cloud of activity, you start to understand the deep sea in a different way. The giants may be impressive, but the microbes are indispensable. They operate without glamour, without spectacle, and without any need for recognition. They power vents and seeps, process nutrients, stabilize sediments, cycle chemicals, and influence everything from the carbon balance of the ocean to the survival of creatures far larger than themselves. They are, quite literally, the gears that keep the deep sea turning. And yet, for all their importance, microbes never seek attention. They don't glow dramatically. They don't grow to massive sizes. They don't build towering structures or drift with theatrical flair. Instead, they excel quietly, transforming the deep ocean cell by cell, molecule by molecule, day after patient day. As you rise from the sediment and drift once more into open water, the presence of microbes remains with you, not through sight, but through understanding. The deep ocean may seem dark, empty, and silent, but beneath that simplicity lies an intricate, bustling world of constant microscopic activity in a realm dominated by pressure, darkness, and scarcity. These tiny organisms perform feats that sustain the entire marine system. They may be small, but their importance is enormous. The deep sea is filled with wonders, but its most impressive overachievers are the ones you'll never see, because they're already busy, running the ocean's most efficient operations with quiet, unshakable dedication. Far beneath the turbulence of surface waves and the restless swirl of storms lies a different kind of motion, one so subtle, so patient, and so expansive that it might be the most impressive dance on Earth. Here, In the deep ocean where light never wanders and pressure reigns supreme, the water itself is constantly on the move. Not in energetic swirls or dramatic spirals, but in sweeping, steady flows that glide through the darkness with the grace of a planet-sized ballet. If the surface ocean is a bustling city street, the deep ocean's currents are long, elegant corridors with dancers who never rush, never stumble, and never forget their choreography. This immense system of motion is driven by thermohaline circulation, an intricate global conveyor powered not by wind or tides, but by temperature and salinity. Unlike surface currents, which depend heavily on weather, deep sea currents follow the laws of density. Cold, salty water sinks. Warmer or fresher water rises. Gravity does the rest, encouraging dense water to slide quietly along the seafloor, while lighter water drifts above it. It's a sorting system, worthy of a perfectionist librarian, but instead of books, it's shifting trillions of tons of water around the planet. To understand this flow, imagine the ocean as a single, interconnected body, no borders, no breaks, no divisions. In the polar regions, the water grows cold enough to become dense. Sea ice forms, pushing salt into the surrounding water and making it even heavier. This dense water sinks like a slow-motion waterfall, sliding down the continental shelf and into the abyss. Once it reaches the deep sea, it begins its long journey, thousands of kilometers of silent travel across ocean basins, slipping beneath warmer layers like a ghost navigating old hallways. These deep currents move astonishingly slowly. Some creep along at just a few centimeters per second. Others take centuries to complete their loops. But despite their leisurely pace, they are immensely powerful. They transport heat, carbon, oxygen, nutrients, and chemicals across the globe. In essence, they are the circulatory system of the ocean, steady, essential, and surprisingly elegant. As you drift within one of these deep currents, you notice that nothing seems rushed. The water around you feels stable, almost contemplative. Yet there is a definite sense of directional movement. The current wraps gently around seafloor features, bends and sweeps around ridges, and sometimes funnels through narrow pathways between underwater structures. Everything about it feels deliberate, as though the ocean rehearsed this choreography for millions of years and sees no reason to change a step. These deep flows are not uniform ribbons. They form layers, distinct streams of water with their own temperatures, salinities, and histories. Some layers originate near Antarctica, others near Greenland, and each retains characteristics from where it began. To marine scientists, these water masses are like messages sealed in envelopes. Their salinity and temperature signatures reveal where they came from and how long they've been travelling. Some deep waters haven't seen the surface for hundreds of years, quietly carrying ancient conditions through a timeless loop beneath the waves. The movement of these layers shapes nearly everything in the deep sea. Deep currents deliver oxygen to regions far from the surface. Without this slow infusion, many deep-dwelling organisms, especially those depending on oxygen-rich environments, would struggle to survive. These currents also distribute nutrients that settle from above, allowing even remote regions of the abyss to support life. They push sediment, sculpt landscapes, and subtly influence where certain species gather or migrate. Occasionally, you encounter regions where deep currents accelerate, funneled between underwater ridges or squeezed through narrow canyons. Here, the water moves with a determination that feels rare for the deep sea, swift but still smooth, never chaotic. In these passages, the currents shape the environment dramatically, redistributing sediments and forming channels on the ocean floor over thousands of years. These watery pathways are invisible highways, used not just by water but by drifting larvae, microscopic life, and even certain larger creatures that rely on currents to guide their migrations. The silence of deep-sea currents is almost uncanny. On the surface, wind-driven waves crash, roar, and thunder. But down here, the movement is nearly soundless. Like an orchestra performing a symphony using instruments made of velvet. You feel the motion more than hear it. The gentle pull, the steady push, the slight lean of your drifting path as the water escorts you along its ancient route. The strangest part is how synchronized it all is, even though different regions of the ocean experience different temperatures and salinity patterns. The global conveyor remains remarkably coordinated. It loops through every major ocean basin, knitting together ecosystems that seem impossibly distant from one another. Changes in one area, warming, freshening, or cooling, can ripple along this conveyor, altering deep-sea conditions on the other side of the world. The ballet is not just elegant, it's interconnected on a planetary scale. Despite moving so slowly, these currents carry tremendous influence. They help regulate Earth's climate by transporting heat away from the equator and toward the poles. They redistribute carbon and help lock it away in the deep ocean, moderating atmospheric levels far above. And they maintain the subtle balance of chemistry that allows deep ecosystems to exist at all. Watching the deep-sea currents unfold around you feels like watching time itself move. Steady, patient, unhurried. The water glides past with the confidence of something that has been doing this for millions of years and will continue long after human concerns fade. It is a dance choreographed by the planet, performed in darkness and conducted without sound. In this immense quiet, the ocean performs a ballet of density and motion, temperature and salt, weight and flow. There are no dancers visible, no leaping figures, no graceful arms, but the movement is everywhere, shaping everything. And as you drift along with the current, carried effortlessly through the deep, you realize that even in the most silent, shadowed realms, the ocean is never still. It is always moving, slowly, elegantly, and endlessly. Exploring the deep ocean is one of the most difficult, expensive, and patience-testing endeavors humanity has ever attempted. It's not like climbing a mountain or trekking across a desert. There are no conveniently placed rest stops, no sunlight to help you see, no breathable air, and absolutely no guarantee your equipment won't decide to groan ominously at the worst possible moment. The deep ocean is a world designed for pressure-loving creatures and very few invited guests. Yet somehow, humans, being famously stubborn about going places we're not built for, decided to visit anyway, and so we built submersibles, remote vehicles, pressure-hardened instruments, and, occasionally, the courage to sit inside metal spheres lowered into a realm that could flatten a bus without breaking a sweat. The first challenge to deep-sea exploration is, unsurprisingly, pressure. At depths of several thousand meters, the force on every square inch of a vehicle is enough to make even the toughest materials reconsider their life choices. A submersible must withstand pressure so intense it would turn an unprotected human into a cautionary tale faster than you can say, "I should have stayed on the ship." To do this, exploration vehicles rely on thick titanium shells, reinforced glass, the kind so dense that transparent rock is a fair description, and engineering so meticulous it borders on artistry. Every weld, every seam, every bolt must hold against conditions that simply do not care how much the machine cost. Then there's the darkness. Not partial dimness, not sunset gloom, total consuming darkness that stretches in every direction. Submersibles and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, must bring their own light, shining powerful beams into a blackness so absolute it feels almost solid. These lights reveal creatures, structures, and sediments that have never been illuminated before, but they also highlight how tiny a vehicle really is in such vast emptiness. The ocean doesn't shrink to accommodate explorers. It stays enormous and impenetrable, a reminder that even our brightest beams only scratch the surface of its secrets. Visibility challenges don't end there. Water scatters light, absorbs colours, and hides objects behind drifting particles. Cameras have to work overtime to capture images, and even then, footage can look like it was filmed inside an uncooperative snow globe. Operators driving ROVs must maneuver them with extraordinary precision, moving robotic arms that respond to controls with the subtlety of an underwater ballet. Every tiny adjustment takes practice, patience, and a steady hand, especially when the vehicle is hovering near delicate corals, geological features, or skittish deep-sea creatures that have never seen a robot before and would prefer not to interact with one today. Thank you very much. Despite these challenges, robots remain our best allies. ROVs can travel deeper than any crewed vehicle, record video for hours, collect samples, and generally behave like obedient mechanical assistants, assuming nothing breaks, tangles, overheats, short-circuits, or decides to misinterpret a command. Each ROV is essentially a very expensive metal tourist, snapping photos, pointing its lights at interesting landmarks, and occasionally poking things just to see what happens. It moves carefully through the deep, tethered to the ship above by a long cable that transmits power and commands. Like an underwater marionette, puppeted by a team of scientists squinting at screens. Autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, also join the exploration party, gliding silently through the deep without cables, mapping vast distances with sonar. These machines operate like introverted explorers, quiet, independent, and fully capable of conducting a mission without needing constant supervision. They trace long, sweeping paths, collecting data on temperature, salinity, chemistry, and terrain. When they return to the surface hours or days later, they might carry terabytes of information recorded in absolute darkness. Occasionally, they also carry a new dent or two from an unexpectedly close encounter with a rock wall, because even the brightest machine can sometimes misjudge its underwater personal space. Crewed submersibles, however, offer the most emotionally profound experience. Being physically present in the deep ocean is unlike anything else. Floating in a pressurized sphere surrounded by endless black, listening to the groans of metal adjusting to pressure, watching creatures glide past that no one has ever described in a textbook. The window is usually small, thick and rounded, and yet the view feels enormous. Inside, every sound becomes meaningful. The hum of life support systems, the faint crack of thermal expansion, the gentle ping of sonar. Scientists and pilots work in tight quarters, sometimes squeezed together like passengers sharing a very slow, very cautious elevator. The journey down is quiet, with depth gauges ticking steadily upward. At first, sunlight lingers faintly. Then it dims. Then it vanishes. Eventually, even bioluminescence fades, until the only light is the one you brought with you. There is something humbling about being inside a sphere no wider than a small car, knowing that outside is thousands of meters of cold, crushing water. Yet when a deep-sea creature swims into the beam of your lights, revealing shapes and behaviors no human has ever documented before. Every hour of planning, engineering, and risk suddenly feels overwhelmingly worth it. Of course, exploring the deep also comes with logistical challenges. Launching a submersible requires calm seas, expert crews, meticulously checked equipment, and more backup systems than a theme park roller coaster. ROV deployments involve careful cable management, coordination between pilots, engineers, and scientists, and an entire support team on deck. Every piece has to work in harmony, like a small orchestra playing in sync while dangling expensive equipment over the side of a ship. And yet, despite the difficulty, expense, and occasional stress-induced heart palpitations, humans keep returning to the deep, because every mission reveals something extraordinary. A new species, a strange behavior, a geological formation no one imagined. A chemical signature that rewrites our understanding of the planet. The deep ocean rewards curiosity with discovery, and those discoveries reshape our understanding of life, Earth, and even the possible conditions for life beyond our planet. So we build more robots. We design more pressure-resistant vehicles. We send them into the abyss like brave, wallet-draining tourists armed with cameras, lights, and an unwavering desire to explore. And in doing so, we inch closer to understanding a world that still refuses to give up all its secrets. A world that waits patiently in the dark, knowing we'll keep coming back. After journeying through a world of giants, microbes, chemical oases, and mechanical explorers, you might think we've pieced together a fairly complete picture of the deep ocean. But the truth, the exhilarating, humbling, wonderfully maddening truth, is that we have barely begun. For all our technology, curiosity, and occasional stubbornness, most of the deep sea remains as unknown as distant galaxies. It is a frontier where every dive, every sample, every passing shadow on a camera feed can rewrite what we thought we knew. No matter how many discoveries emerge, the deep ocean always seems to whisper, "Nice try, now ask a better question." Modern exploration has revealed species so strange, so delicate, so improbable, that they often leave even seasoned scientists blinking at screens and wondering if the cameras malfunctioned. Every year, researchers return from expeditions with videos, samples, and observations of creatures no one has ever catalogued before. Animals with transparent bodies, shimmering organs, unexpected limbs, and behaviors that seem designed to provoke curiosity. Some discoveries feel whimsical, like tiny jellies twirling through dark water as if practicing for a ballet recital. Others feel unsettling, like pale fish drifting with faces that look eerily sculpted by the abyss itself. One of the most astonishing revelations of recent decades is just how complex deep-sea ecosystems can be, even in regions once assumed barren. Not long ago, scientists believed that the deep ocean was a place of sparse life, a dark, cold desert with little more than occasional scavengers and drifting particles. But as technology allowed us to peer deeper and longer, we found rich biodiversity woven into even the most remote landscapes. Entire communities bloom on seamounts, cliffs, canyon walls, and sediment plains. Tiny organisms form vast, interdependent networks of nutrient cycling. Creatures migrate vertically across kilometers every night in the world's largest daily migration. An immense, synchronized dance, hidden from sunlight and satellites alike. These discoveries often come from sheer persistence and curiosity. A camera lowered into a trench reveals a translucent snailfish whose body is so delicate it seems carved from moonlight. An ROV collects a worm glowing with soft, unexpected iridescence. A submersible drifts past a coral garden, growing where it shouldn't, thriving on a ridge overlooked by hundreds of previous surveys. Each new observation feels like a clue, a hint that the deep is not just complex, but full of surprises waiting patiently for someone to notice. Researchers often describe these moments with the enthusiasm of detectives who stumbled onto a case that defies every assumption. And truthfully, deep-sea scientists are detectives, ones who work at the intersection of biology, geology, chemistry, and pure imagination. Their crime scenes are landscapes shaped by pressure and time. Their suspects are creatures that refuse to sit still for easy classification. Their clues arrive in fragments, sometimes in the form of a single mysterious scale, a strange chemical signature, or a blurred shape drifting on a sonar map. And unlike detectives in novels, these researchers never face the dreaded case closed. The deep ocean keeps generating mysteries faster than we can solve them. One of the most thrilling parts of modern deep-sea research is the discovery of species that challenge definitions altogether. Some creatures blur the line between individual and colony. Others live so slowly that measuring their lifespan feels like trying to track the growth rate of a mountain. Certain species metabolize chemicals in ways we never imagined possible. Some microbes may have been thriving in sediments for centuries, their biological clocks ticking so gently that time itself seems to move differently for them. Even more intriguing are the hints that deep-sea life may help answer long-standing questions about the origins of life on Earth. Microbes thriving near vents and seeps show how biology can bloom in environments completely independent of sunlight. They offer templates for what life might look like on other worlds. Icy moons, subsurface oceans, planets warmed by tidal forces rather than stars. Every discovery in these extreme environments opens a door to new possibilities beyond Earth, stretching our imagination into cosmic dimensions. Yet the more we learn, the more we realize how much remains untouched. An estimated majority of deep-sea species have not been discovered. Many have never been seen alive. Vast swathes of seafloor have only been mapped in the broadest strokes. Downward-facing cameras capture brief glimpses of strange silhouettes that never return for a second look, leaving scientists staring at the screen and saying things like, "Well, that's new. Probably. Maybe." It's the uncertainty that makes the deep ocean irresistibly compelling. Scientists return from every expedition with both answers and a larger pile of questions. New puzzles, new theories, new anomalies. They share footage of translucent creatures drifting like ghosts, of structures rising from the sea floor like forgotten monuments, of ecosystems thriving in ways that feel part biological, part geological, part alchemical. And every time we think we're beginning to understand the deep, it reveals another layer, another behavior, another species that seems to have ignored all the memos about how life is supposed to work. This constant unfolding of new information turns the deep ocean into a realm of endless possibility, a living, breathing mystery that rewards curiosity with wonder. It is a place where scientific uncertainty isn't a frustration, but an invitation. Where every dive feels like opening a book whose pages rearrange themselves the moment you look away. Where researchers, like dedicated detectives, keep chasing clues, knowing full well the case will never be solved, and loving every moment of it. In the deepest parts of the sea, knowledge expands in circles. Each discovery leads not to closure, but to new branches of inquiry. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift the deep ocean offers. The reminder that even on a planet we call familiar, there are worlds within worlds still waiting to be explored. So long as curiosity exists, so long as questions remain unasked, the deep sea will continue to whisper its secrets, slowly, quietly, and irresistibly. As your long drift through the deep ocean begins to draw to a close, you find yourself rising slowly through the darkness, carried upward by the same quiet stillness that guided your descent. It feels less like leaving and more like being gently escorted back to a world filled with sunlight, sound, and familiar shapes. There is something profoundly peaceful about this ascent, as though the deep itself is giving you time to think, to gather every strange, beautiful, baffling moment into something that can be brought back to the surface without losing its magic. Below you lies a realm most of humanity will never see firsthand. A place where life persists, not in spite of difficulty, but because it has learned to shape possibility out of challenge. The creatures and landscapes you've encountered are not simply curiosities or oddities. They are reminders that resilience takes many forms. Some bodies glow, some stretch, some shrink. Some slow their lives to the gentlest crawl. Some grow to massive sizes, drifting like legends through the dark. And some become so small that they slip right through our awareness unless we stop and look with purpose. The deep ocean doesn't showcase a single way to survive. It displays 1,000 ways to thrive. As you ascend, you can't help reflecting on how the deep sea quietly rewrites your sense of perspective. Life at the surface often feels hectic, loud, and urgent. But down below, everything moves at a pace dictated by patience, stability, and long-term persistence. There are no quick fixes in the abyss, no hurried transformations, no daily dramas. The deep teaches that slowness isn't stagnation. Often, it's strategy. Down there, taking centuries to grow, minutes to move, or years to adapt makes perfect sense. If the surface world is defined by speed, the deep sea is defined by endurance. It also teaches humility. Even with all our modern technology, our maps, our sensors, our submersibles, and our metal tourists armed with cameras, we still know astonishingly little about the deep ocean. Every meter we've explored reveals how much more remains hidden. And yet, instead of frustration, this ignorance brings a strange kind of comfort. It is good, necessary even, to remember that Earth still holds mysteries. Vast ones, wild ones, ones that refuse to be rushed or simplified. The deep reminds us that knowledge is always expanding, always unfolding, and always ready to surprise even the most confident explorer. As the water brightens ever so slightly above you, you sense the deep ocean's parting message. Curiosity isn't just a tool, it's a compass. Every new question opens a door. Every flicker of interest becomes an invitation to look closer. In a world where darkness hides entire landscapes and invisible currents shape the path of life, curiosity becomes the way we illuminate the unknown. Whether you're a scientist peering at a specimen under a microscope or someone who simply wonders what lies beyond the next metaphorical horizon, curiosity is the force that turns unfamiliar territory into understanding. You continue rising, the pressure easing around you with the silent relief of a heavy blanket being lifted from your shoulders. Though the deep remains below, vast, unbothered, quietly extraordinary, it feels like it travels with you in memory. You carry its lessons now, its patience, its strangeness, its refusal to conform to easy explanations, and above all, its reminder that even in the darkest corners of the world, life finds a way not only to survive, but to express creativity, complexity, and grace. The first hints of blue reappear, faint at first, then sharpening into colour as sunlight reaches you once more. After hours spent in near total blackness, the return of light feels almost theatrical, as if the ocean is staging a finale just for you. The beams shimmer through the water, scattering in soft ribbons that dance across your path. It's a gentle reminder that the world does not need grand gestures to be beautiful. Even simple light through water can feel miraculous when you've spent time with the creatures who live without it. As you break into the sunlit waters near the surface, everything feels familiar, yet subtly changed. Waves ripple, fish flash by in bright colours. The noise of life returns in bubbles, clicks, and distant calls. But you notice that your senses are tuned differently now. You see more, feel more, and appreciate the quiet complexity beneath every ripple. The deep ocean has a way of sharpening the mind by immersing it in stillness, giving you a new lens through which to view the everyday world. Finally, you reach the surface. Air surrounds you again. The sun greets you with warmth that feels almost decadent after hours in icy depths. And as you look across the endless water, you can't help smiling at the thought that beneath this calm, glittering surface lies a world stranger and more imaginative than most fiction. A world where glowing fish signal in darkness, where microbes run vast recycling operations, where chemical gardens bloom in scorching vents, and where creatures with unpronounceable body plans glide through cold currents like living art. It's easy to forget, up here in the sunshine, that such a world exists. But it does, and it waits patiently beneath the waves, unaffected by our busyness, undisturbed by our distractions. So you take a breath, feeling the weight of the journey settle into something soft and reflective. The deep has one last lesson to offer. Wonder doesn't belong only to light, colour, or sound. Wonder thrives in darkness too. It thrives in quiet. It thrives in the unknown. And sometimes all it takes to find it is the willingness to look into the depths, literal or metaphorical, and let curiosity lead the way. Because even in the deepest dark, the world is full of wonders, and some of them glow